Recently, I did a video explaining why, even though I have a Vespa 300, why oftentimes I actually choose to ride the 150 instead, which of course begs the question, why even have a 300? If the 150 is so great, and I truly believe it is, what's the point in having a 300 at all? My name is Liz and I'm the Vespa Mom, and today I want to share with you 5 times that I actually choose to ride my 300 over my 150. And the number one reason might not be the most practical reason, but it's probably my favorite. So make sure you stick around to the end. If you're new here, I like to make videos about Vespas, Vespa ownership. I like to share the rides that I take. If this is something that interests you, make sure you like and subscribe. I would love to have you follow along, and I really love your comments, so make sure you make a comment below. So here we go. 5 times my 300 gets my pick over my Vespa 150. The first scenario where I prefer my 300 over my 150 is when I know I'm going to really be riding for some distance. I think the strength and the capability of the 300 just feels a little bit better when I know I'm going to be going a long way. I don't feel like I'm asking it to give me absolutely everything it has. Now, while the 150 definitely can do some distance, I've done plenty of distance on the 150, I just feel a lot more comfortable going longer distances on the 300. It just feels a little bit more capable, and it's also just a little bit more comfortable, I think, for those really long rides. I'm not having to go full throttle quite so much, and it just seems like the right choice when I happen to be going farther distances. So if I know I'm going for a while, I'm gonna grab my keys to Bruno here, my 300, before I grab my keys for my 150. Another scenario where I choose my 300 over my 150 is when I'm going to take a passenger. Now, this is a fairly new thing for me. I really only took a passenger on my new 300 just a couple weeks ago. The difference is just unbelievable. I have taken a passenger on my 150, and while it is totally possible, the difference in the pickup and the power is super noticeable when you have a passenger. But when I first had a passenger on my 300, the capability of being able to ride pretty much the same way with an extra adult on the back was unbelievable. So I really prefer to grab the 300 when I have a passenger because I feel like the performance is pretty much unaffected by that extra weight with the 300. So for passenger riding, I also think they're a little bit more comfortable as well. There's a little bit more space in the seat. And this one actually also has foot pegs where my other one doesn't. So Bruno here is a really good choice when I want to stick somebody on the back and go for a ride. Okay, so another instance where the 300 gets my choice over my 150 is when I'm going someplace unfamiliar. I think what happens in this situation is I have a little bit less concern that I'm going to have myself in a situation where I need more power and don't have it. If I'm going somewhere unfamiliar and I don't know basically what the roads look like, what the speed is, how it changes, traffic patterns, things like that, I just feel like the 300 gives me more options to adjust and make changes in unfamiliar areas. Now, when I'm just around town and I'm going on familiar roads that I'm already comfortable with and I know my routes really well, the 150 does great. But unfamiliar areas, I just feel a little bit safer and like I have more flexibility when I ride the 300. All right, the next scenario that I think is important to consider when I'm going out for a ride is how hilly is it going to be? Now, I really think Bruno here, my 300, handles hills beautifully. And I don't really notice any power difference in going uphill and downhill when I'm riding Bruno here. My 150, however, there's a noticeable drop in power and speed when I'm climbing up a hill. And so generally speaking, especially if there's a lot of traffic, I don't want to drop in speed all of a sudden and have a car behind me. So the area I live in, it does have some hills, but it's relatively flat. But if I know I'm going to an area that I'm just going to have to deal with hills, or if I don't know if there are going to be hills, going back to my last point about being unfamiliar, again, I just really appreciate the power and strength of the 300 to tackle those hills without any real significant change in strength or power when I'm doing that. So a hilly course is definitely something I consider when I'm choosing which one I'm going to take. And if I know there are going to be some significant climbs, I'm going to grab my 300 every time. Okay, I'm just going to give things to you straight. Sometimes I know I actually do not plan on going very far, nor do I plan on taking a passenger, nor do I know that the terrain is going to be super hilly. Maybe I know exactly where I'm going and what it's going to be like, and I still grab the keys for the 300. Why? Because riding a 300 is just so much fun. While I don't always need the extra strength or power, sometimes I just want it. Bruno here is typically my joyride vehicle. When I want to go a little faster, when I want to do some backcountry roads here in Ohio, when I just like to have that strength and power with me, I really just have a lot of fun riding this 300. He's good for many, many things. The joy factor is high with the 300. I love both my scooters. I'm not trying to justify owning two scooters. I just want to share my experience. I know several of you perhaps either have one or the other, or trying to decide between one and the other. I'm really hoping my own experience and what I'm sharing with you helps inform your decisions about what you're going to do, or helps reinforce the decision that you made. They really do feel different. They perhaps are not that different aesthetically, but they have a different feel to them. I recommend you have the opportunity to try to drive both if you're trying to make that decision, because there's a lot of things to consider when you're choosing what size engine that you want. But today I hope this was helpful as I share with you the 5 times that I actually choose to ride my 300 over my 150. Thanks for watching. Make sure you comment below. I will see you next time.